Kai, close your eyes for a second and just listen. Imagine the sound of a reef. Not just the bubbles from your regulator, but that constant busy crackling of snapping shrimp and the rhythmic scraping of parrotfish.
Oh, I can hear it perfectly, Mia. It's like a tiny underwater city that never sleeps. That chatter is actually the sound of a healthy, biodiverse home.
Exactly. And today, we're talking about how we can make sure those reefs stay loud and proud.
Hello and welcome to IndoDiveX, a podcast about diving, ocean stories, and the incredible underwater world of Indonesia. I'm Kai.
And I'm Mia. In this podcast, we explore marine life, diving adventures, and the magic of the Coral Triangle.
So, Mia, we're diving into a big topic today, regenerative tourism. It's a bit of a buzzword lately, but in Sulawesi, it's becoming a way of life for the diving community.
I love that we're talking about this because for a long time, the goal was just sustainability. Take only pictures, leave only bubbles. But sustainability is really about maintaining the status quo, whereas regenerative tourism is about actively leaving a place better than you found it.
Right. It's moving from being a passive observer to an active participant in the ocean's health. Instead of just minimizing harm, we're talking about being ocean positive. And Sulawesi, being right in the heart of the Coral Triangle, is the perfect place to see this in action.
It really is. I was just looking into what's happening down in Tanjung, Bira, South Sulawesi. It's famous for its traditional boat building, but now it's becoming a huge hub for shark conservation and reef research.
Oh, Bira is incredible. The Indo-Ocean project there is doing some heavy lifting with their research diver internships. They use things like BRUVs, which are basically underwater cameras with bait to track reef sharks and monitor the overall health of the ecosystem.
And if you want to get your hands dirty, or, salty, there's Gaia 1. They have this immersive 4-week coral restoration course at Tavana House Reef. You don't just dive, you learn to identify 18 different coral genera and actually practice planting and maintaining reef structures.
That is so cool. It's like gardening, but with fins on. And they even involve the local fishermen and boat captains, so the whole community becomes protectors of the reef.
It's that connection that makes it regenerative. Speaking of connection, we have to talk about North Sulawesi. The North Sulawesi Water Sports Association, or NSWA, is this amazing alliance of over 20 resorts working together to protect the reefs and support local communities.
Definitely. If you head over to Bangka Island, you've got Murex Resorts partnering with the NGO Ocean Gardener. They've set up coral farms where you can dive with purpose, helping to grow and transplant corals onto artificial reef structures.
And don't forget Coral Eye on Bangka. They host Reef Check Italia courses where you can become a certified eco-diver. You learn standardized scientific protocols to monitor coral health, and that data actually helps scientists manage the reefs.
It's amazing how much citizen science is changing the game. But Mia, I have to mention the muck diving capital, Lembe Strait. You wouldn't think of a volcanic sand slope as a place for reef protection, but the Lembe Foundation is doing incredible work with trash banks and green education for local kids.
I love that. It reminds us that protecting the ocean starts on land. Now, before we get too deep into the how-to, I think it's time for some ocean facts. Kai, did you know that while coral reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, they support about 25% of all marine life?
It's mind-blowing. They're like the rainforests of the sea. And here's a wild one from Wakatobi in southeast Sulawesi. They are using eDNA, environmental DNA, to track reef health. They literally filter a cup of seawater and can identify the genetic fingerprints of the fish and corals that have been there.
That is high-tech conservation. And in Wakatobi, the reefs are famously chatty because they've been protected for decades through a collaborative model where the resort pays local villages to protect their traditional fishing grounds.
It works because the local people see the direct financial benefit of a healthy reef. It's a win-win for everyone.
So for our listeners who are planning their next trip to Indonesia, how can they be regenerative divers?
First thing, check your sunscreen. Traditional sunscreens have chemicals like oxybenzone that can actually cause coral bleaching. You want to look for mineral-based, reef-safe options that use non-nano zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. There are even great local Indonesian brands like Beach Street or Coco Mama.
Such a simple switch with a huge impact. And second, master your buoyancy. Kicking or touching the reef is one of the biggest threats from tourism. Many regenerative operators, like those in the Green Fins initiative, will actually give you a strict briefing on this because even a small touch can damage delicate coral structures.
Exactly. Stay at least 1 meter above the reef and look for operators who are part of Green Fins or NSWA. They're the ones putting the planet before profit.
It really comes down to the fact that we can't have a healthy planet without a healthy ocean, and we can't have a healthy ocean without these vibrant, chatty coral reefs.
Sulawesi is showing us that tourism doesn't have to be a drain on the environment. It can be the very thing that funds its recovery. Every dive is a chance to be a guardian of the sea.
Well said, Kai. Thank you for listening to IndoDiveX. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow the podcast and share it with fellow ocean lovers.
Until the next dive, keep exploring and keep protecting our ocean.